Hello, I am Furkan from Asian Guides and we are in Sivas, and today we are gonna talk about the first universities of Anatolia. We are gonna talk about Madrasah. Madrasah is an Arabic word and means place where lessons are taught. The concept of Madrasah began to emerge with Islam in the 7th, 8th century. Initially, education was given at the masjids or mosque, and this education was especially religious. It's like reading the Quran, which is holy book of Muslims. But over time, education was not enough at masjids because education was not given during prayer times, and in addition, scholars who provide training should have paid. For this reason, masjids were not suitable for this task anymore. After the Seljuk state came to Anatolia in the 11th century, Anatolia began to recognize a different culture, a different identity. So after a certain time, the Anatolia Seljuk state had a great deal of progress, especially in the beginning of 13th century. In the Anatolia Seljuk state, inns and caravanserais were built together with economic development, and also in accordance with cultural development, Friday Mosque, Quran Mosque, and the Madrasah were built quickly. Together with Anatolia Seljuk state, it started to have given lessons like physics, chemistry, and astronomy, in addition to religion in Madrasah. So, as I said before, the first universities of Anatolia are Seljuk Madrasahs. Today, we are at a point Seljuk Madrasahs are side by side. As you can see that, there are three madrasas close together in this square: Twin Minaret, Şifahane, and Buruciye Madrasah. So, at this point, we can say that Sivas was one of the center of culture in Seljuk. Can you imagine that once upon a time, this area was the campus of today's universities? This great madrasa behind me is Buruciye Madrasah, and it was built during the Anatolia Seljuk state in the 13th century. And this madrasa has the most regular symmetry among the madrasa in Anatolia. The main facade wall was built in ashlar, and the side walls and rear walls were built partly ashlar and rubble masonry. Also, bricks were used in this structure. Now, shall we look at closer to this unique structure? Density in stone processing is at the crown gate. It was made by carving yellowish colored stones. Star, rumi, and geometric motifs were processed. So to speak, we see the stone turned into paper at the crown gate. We are in the madrasa right now, and this madrasa with a courtyard was built of cut stone. This madrasa has a portico on two sides and has 4 bays. Also, it has 2 floors and has capacity for 30 students. Can you imagine that? Once upon a time, there were 30 students in this area. So, the method of teaching in madrasa was initially applied by memorizing system, especially in Quran education. But over time, this system was replaced by a system of writing and taking notes. In general, lessons would begin after the morning prayers, but before lessons started, a person would recite the Quran, and after that, lessons would begin. In education, scholars and students often ask each other questions. In the madrasa, there was an assistant other than students and scholars, and his job was to help these students who asked more than once. Also, assistant was responsible for making students perform prayers during prayer times. So the madrasa have a large area where all students could teach in common. In general, scholars would give lessons in this area. Also, each student had a separate room around this area, and after lessons, students would go to its own cell. Despite all the activities, the madrasas were not financially harmed because foundations were established to cover the expenses of scholars and students. Thus, these educational institutions were not financially damaging to the state. The Seljuk state, which gave an importance to education, has left unforgettable traces in history. It's like this madrasa.